Stephen King thought his tweet would disappear, but it's exploded into the biggest backlash of his career. Fans are burning his books, Hollywood is panicking, and now Mel Gibson has stepped in with a brutal message that could change everything. What Gibson just said to Stephen King has people asking, has the king of horror finally written his own downfall? Before we get into it, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. It really means a lot. Now, here's where things get interesting. What started as one controversial post has spiraled into a storm that Stephen King may not be able to escape from. When Stephen King decided to mock Charlie Kirk on X, it wasn't just another one of his usual political jabs. This time, it crossed a line that even many of his longtime readers couldn't ignore. Instead of showing respect after a tragedy, King's comments came across as cruel, misleading, and, according to critics, outright lies. The reaction was immediate. People who had supported King for decades suddenly felt betrayed. Social media flooded with fans saying they were done with his books, done with his movies, and done with giving him the spotlight he's enjoyed for so long. The idea of separating the art from the artist suddenly didn't apply, because in this case, the artist himself had created the outrage. What makes this backlash so different is how quickly it spread beyond just online arguments. People weren't just complaining, they were taking action. Longtime readers claimed they were throwing out their collections, refusing to buy upcoming releases, and encouraging others to boycott his projects. And it doesn't stop there. The fallout is already reaching into Hollywood, with upcoming adaptations like The Long Walk and Welcome to Derry facing questions about whether audiences will even show up. But the real shock came when other celebrities started weighing in. For years, Stephen King has been one of the most untouchable names in literature and film, but now, fans are turning their backs in ways that feel impossible to ignore. Bookstores have reported a noticeable drop in demand for his latest titles, and online clips of people tossing his novels in the trash are gaining traction. Projects once guaranteed to draw crowds suddenly look shaky. The Long Walk, one of his most anticipated film adaptations, is now under a cloud of boycotts. Some viewers have openly vowed they won't buy a ticket, not because of the story itself, but because they refuse to support the man behind it. The same energy is hitting Welcome to Derry, the upcoming prequel to IT, with fans questioning whether they even want to tune in. This isn't just casual criticism, it's a movement. People feel like King crossed a line he can't walk back from, and every project tied to his name is being dragged down with him. It's the kind of cultural shift that could rewrite his reputation entirely. But here's where it gets even more intense. This wasn't just about fans walking away, other celebrities began stepping forward too, and one name stood out more than the rest: Mel Gibson. When Mel Gibson stepped into the conversation, nobody expected him to hold back, and he didn't. Known for speaking his mind, Gibson went straight for Stephen King with one of the harshest rebukes yet. Calling King irredeemable, Gibson said he had never seen behavior so vile in response to someone's death. To him, mocking Charlie Kirk wasn't just bad taste, it was proof that King had crossed a moral line that couldn't be ignored. He accused King of fueling hatred against ordinary Americans and slammed the so-called apology as nothing more than a fake, forced statement. But what made Gibson's comments even more powerful was how he contrasted King's actions with his own past mistakes. He admitted that he's said terrible things before and that it cost him his career for years. The difference, he argued, was that he owned his words, faced the consequences, and worked to rebuild himself. In his eyes, Stephen King has done none of that, and Gibson didn't stop there. He made it clear this wasn't about politics, it was about respect, truth, and whether a man could recognize when he had gone too far. But what Gibson said next raised even more eyebrows. Mel Gibson didn't shy away from addressing his own controversies. He openly admitted that his words from years ago nearly destroyed his career, and that even now, he's still fighting to fully win back respect. But in his mind, that's the price of accountability. You have to face your mistakes head on. And that's where he drew the sharpest contrast with Stephen King. Gibson argued that instead of showing growth, King doubled down. His so-called apology felt hollow, like something written to protect his career, rather than a genuine attempt to make things right. For many fans, that made the situation even worse. The comparison hit hard because Gibson's story shows what it looks like to try and change. Whether people forgive him or not, he's at least making the effort. King, on the other hand, appears to be spiraling further, unable or unwilling to step back and recognize the damage he's caused. This isn't just a matter of public opinion, it's a battle over reputation. Gibson has clawed his way back toward respect, while King is watching his legacy slip through his fingers, and Gibson had some advice for him. Advice that might just be impossible for King to follow. After blasting Stephen King as irredeemable, Gibson went further with advice that was as brutal as it was clear: step away. He suggested that King should leave social media altogether, walk away from X, from the spotlight, from the endless cycle of controversy, and focus on becoming a better person. From Gibson's perspective, the damage King caused wasn't just about one post. It was about a pattern of behavior, a refusal to show humility, and a growing arrogance that's alienating even his most loyal fans. Gibson framed it as a choice: rebuild yourself or continue down a road where there's no coming back. What stood out most was the way Gibson spoke, not just as an actor, but as a self-described patriot. He positioned himself as someone who, despite his flaws, is trying to speak up for ordinary Americans who feel disrespected by elites in show business. And in that frame, Stephen King became the perfect example of what not to do. But here's the question everyone's asking: can Stephen King even recover at this point, or has the damage already gone too far? The big question hanging over all of this is whether Stephen King can ever recover. Right now, the signs don't look good. His apology, if you can even call it that, was seen by many as phony, a box-checking statement meant to quiet critics rather than take responsibility. Instead of calming things down, it only fueled more anger. Fans who once filled theaters for every King adaptation are now openly saying they won't support him again. Online, the phrase "boycott Stephen King" has started trending more than once. And it's not just noise. Sales for his books are reportedly slipping, and the early buzz for The Long Walk shows just how divided audiences really are. Some critics argue that King's work will stand on its own, no matter what he says online. But others believe his reputation has crossed a point of no return. When even lifelong fans are tossing his books aside, that's not just backlash, it's abandonment. And yet, there's a deeper pattern here, one that suggests this won't be the last time King ends up in controversy. Because if history tells us anything, it's that he can't resist going after public figures when tragedy strikes. For anyone who's followed Stephen King over the years, this isn't surprising, it's a pattern. Whenever a major figure makes headlines, King can't seem to resist taking shots on social media. Sometimes it's political, sometimes it's personal, but almost always it sparks backlash. What makes this latest situation so damaging is the timing. Instead of showing even a shred of respect after Charlie Kirk's death, King chose mockery. That decision turned what could have been just another offhand comment into a career-defining controversy. And the truth is, many people believe it won't stop here. Fans are already predicting that within a month or two, King will lash out again at another public figure, dragging himself right back into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. It's not just about one post, it's about a cycle he hasn't broken and maybe never will, which leaves the bigger question hanging in the air. If this cycle continues, how much longer can Stephen King's career withstand the fallout? Stephen King's career has always been built on fear, but right now the scariest thing he's facing isn't in one of his novels. It's the possibility that his own words may have cost him the trust of millions. Fans are walking away, Hollywood is on edge, and voices like Mel Gibson are making sure this controversy doesn't fade quietly into the background. The question now is simple: can Stephen King rebuild what he's lost, or is this truly the beginning of the end for one of the most famous authors of our time? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think King can bounce back, or has he finally crossed the line? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.